Shalom, welcome to Out of Africa Torah Session. My name is Tatra Cohen, and this week we are starting a new book, the book Shemot. And this happened to be the name of this Torah portion, which means in English, names. It is, of course, the opening of the book of Exodus. Now that you have made it this far, allow me to congratulate you on your progress. Now, this Torah portion presents us with a lot of very interesting things. Like that, when I used to read the book of Shemot in those days when I was young, one thing that really kept puzzling me was how come it seems as if that Aaron was not really like in this same servitude with the children of Israel who were being monitored while they work and so forth, who had taskmasters over them each and every day. But for Aaron, it's like he was like a free man, because we are told that Adonai just told him to go and meet his brother Moshe in the wilderness, which he did. I don't think someone who was in slavery would have just done that easily as he did. Of course, our sages tell us that the tribe of Levi was not really in the same servitude as the rest of the house of Israel. And of course, our sages goes on to tell us that this was done purposefully, that this tribe, the tribe of Levi, or the Levites, or together with the Kohanim in the near future, would now teach the same traditions and the culture and so forth to the house of Israel, which they actually did. Now you already begin to see the wisdom of God even in the time of servitude. Another very interesting thing which I find is that very moment where it says, there rose another Pharaoh who did not know Joseph. Of course, our sages have a lot of things to say, but allow me to say one of the things that really intrigued me on the same text. Imagine you are a Pharaoh, and already being a Pharaoh, you're supposed to be very acquainted with the history of the people of Mitzrayim. And unfortunately, this Pharaoh did not know Joseph. This doesn't really make any sense. And not only makes sense, it sounds rather suspicious that how can someone be a Pharaoh and after all not know Joseph? Now, one of the things that our sages mention is he did not know Joseph as a deliberate thing, like he chose not to know Joseph, not because there was no evidence on the ground or there were no facts on the ground. No wonder also there are people today who claim they do not know God, or they don't even want to admit the existence of God. This is very much puzzling, because when you look at our father Abraham, it is as though he discovered God through observation. In other words, when you look at your surrounding, everything speaks about the greater power, which is the Creator, who is God himself. So for this Pharaoh, looking at the entire history of the people of Egypt, and he doesn't admit that he knows Joseph, was rather more like, like you don't want to admit the truth, not because you don't know the truth, but simply you just don't want to. Like the people who know there's God because everything around us says so, but they still choose not to acknowledge God. Then finally, if you read through, you'd see that the children of Israel, they really prospered in what they did, to the point that their masters even came up with a plan, because they prospered in everything that they did, including this issue of multiplication. They continued to multiply even against all odds, to the point that a strategy was devised against them that they should slow them down. And that's exactly what I wanted to communicate with you today. They were squeezed, they were in this trouble, but they did not despair. And that's exactly what you and I may be going through. Sometimes you try so hard to do certain things, to accomplish certain tasks and so forth, but you find yourself pressed, and even not only pressed, but there are even those who are devising ways to slow you down. But be like the Hebrews, who will not back down, because they know their God. And the scripture tells us that the more they were persecuted, that's the more they even multiplied and became very successful. So I don't know whatever you may be going through, but my word today, no matter what you are going through, do not back down. Do not even be slowed down. because in your perseverance, eventually the name of God will be honored. And not only honored, but you will serve as a testimony to the people, especially those around you, just like what the children of Israel did. They were very strong. They stood their ground. To this day, they serve as a testimony and also giving us strength when we meet such things in our very life. Thank you. Shalom.